Hey, I'm a grateful believer in Jesus. I'm overcoming addictions to anger, sex, and pornography, and my name is Richard. And I'm continuing this video series on what is addiction. It's a video series that I'm doing in response to a friend of mine who asked me to make a video talking about addiction. And so in the last video, we covered my definition of addiction. This is my personal definition. It's the one I operate with. You may have something different, and that's fine, but this is the one I operate with. And that definition is very simply a sustained and uncontrolled attempt to meet a valid need through invalid means. Okay, so in the last video, we talked about the valid needs that people have. If you didn't get a chance to see it, go back through the timeline. If you're watching this on Facebook, if you're watching this on Instagram, it should be part of a series. On YouTube, you can just look it up. But anyway, we talked about those needs that people have that go unmet. But in this video, we're going to address the invalid means through which we try to meet those needs. And we talked about the needs that need to be met. We just said, hey, this is something we really need. But we tend to try to meet these needs in our addiction. We try to meet them through invalid means. These are things that seem like solutions, but actually are just problems waiting to take form. They're not really solutions. They feel good for the moment, and they make the hurting stop, or they give us whatever it is that we seem to be needing for the moment. But then things go back to being as bad as they were before, if not worse. And so we keep doing this. It's like a cycle that we keep repeating because it's not really a valid means. The way I look at this is, imagine if your house was on fire. You come home and your house is just ablaze, and you've got a small cup, maybe a restaurant-sized cup, and you run to the hydrant on the side of the house, get a little bit of water, and you're dousing the cup of water on the house. The water might put out a really small piece of the fire, but it's not going to put out the whole fire. And it's not enough. So we need more water. We go back to the hydrant with the cup and we try to throw more water, and we go back to the hydrant and we get more water and throw it on the fire. And we're wearing ourselves out because we are trying to put this fire out through a means that's just not really going to solve the problem. This is not good enough. I need more than this. And so you need to get connected to a fire truck, to put this fire out. But in our addiction, we're not really thinking logically. We're not thinking about getting to a fire truck or calling for help or anything like that. We're just thinking, okay, this is the quickest, easiest thing that's right here, and it seems like a solution. And the problem is that it only makes it worse, because every second I spend with this cup trying to put this fire out, the house burns more and we lose more. And so I have to be quick to think about real solutions. But again, in addiction, we're not really there. So this is where our support network comes in really handy. Having people who will hold us accountable, who see the signs, who know the road, who can walk us through it and help us get through this with a clear mind. A lot of this stuff it feels good for the moment, but it never really solves the problem. And we get stuck because I'll give you an example. A lot of times people who feel lonely, if they have money, they'll go out and they'll buy gifts for people, and they'll buy this or that for that person. And they think, if I just keep buying people gifts or doing nice things for people, then people will accept me. And it seems like a really good idea because people do like you when you're buying things for them and giving them things. It seems really nice. But at some point, when the money runs out, then those people leave because they're not getting anything from you anymore. And so that's what happens. In my personal life, I turned to sexual relationships for approval. And for a while, it seemed to work because I was connecting with someone and there was somebody who was happy with me based on something I was doing for them. And so it seemed really great until the point where the sex doesn't really solve the problem anymore. It's just creating more problems. It's the thing we fight about now as opposed to the thing that we connect over. And so it works until it doesn't. I heard a guy at a recovery conference say that once about his addiction. He said it worked until it didn't. And that's really where we find ourselves. It works well. The shopping works really well to help cope with the stress of work until it doesn't. The seeking out extramarital relationships seem to work really well to boost our self-esteem until it doesn't. The drinking, you know, it takes off the edge of all life and all the stress that I'm under until it doesn't. And at some point we wake up and realize that we're in a deeper hole than we began in. And so that's why it's important that we seek out valid means, actual real solutions for our problems, as opposed to just trying to find the quick fix that won't actually solve the problem. All right, guys, so that's the end of this video. Catch me in the next video. We're going to talk about the first part of the definition, the sustained and uncontrolled portion. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'll see you around.